Welcome back to another episode of Wrist Check Podcast. The dynamic duo is back together again. And today we have two special guests on the couch. Some gentlemen we met in Geneva. We'll get to right quick, but allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Perri.
And I'm Rashawn.
And this is WCP. We have some very interesting gentlemen who've started an amazing watch company. Your product was been all over my feed last year. And it was funny running into these two in Geneva and getting to see the faces behind the brand. But tonight we have Jack and Robin of Alabaster Industries.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you for having us. Seriously, happy to be here. Yeah.
Welcome to New York, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Can't believe we're here.
Well, you're here. I'm glad to finally have you. This has been some time in the making, but like all things WCP, we seem to make it happen each and every time.
Yes, we do.
Lucky us. You've seen the show. You know how this goes. We're going to get into a little bit of your background this evening. The two of you guys building this amazing brand with some incredible product, I might add. I was a fan from when I first saw the timepieces, and I can't wait to get into the story behind the inception of this brand. But before that, you know the tradition. We always start with the man who never repeats a watch. We have our honorary wrist check. Mr. Smith, what's on the wrist?
So this wrist check.
Whenever he does wax the finger,
We're in trouble.
you know something's coming.
Yes. This wrist check is very, very special. And it's funny because me and Perri, we've been doing WCP for quite some time, but it feels like we're like almost like syncing up. We spend so much time together and we're always like bouncing back and forth and like shooting the breeze and talking stuff and handling business. Something just like called me out to my watch box to grab this watch, and I'm wearing the Rowan Blazers Seiko 5 collaboration. Beautiful. Now, this is a family affair. We have brothers here, right?
Yes, and we're brothers.
Right? And, this timepiece.
We're homeboys.
Yes, we're homeboys. For those who know,
if you know,
they
you know.
Yes.
Shout out to Christian.
Yes. But funny enough, this was gifted to us by another person that we call family, Mr. Eric Wynn and Charlie Dunn and the folks over at Rowan Blazers. These were gifted to us. Funny, this colorway was kind of like, I called it the friends and family. It's like the F&F colorway. Seemed like everybody was like gifted one, got like the purple dial. So this is my family affair timepiece, double stamped Seiko 5. With the Rowan Blazers, which we didn't plan, but we'll kind of get into, you'll see the serendipity.
Yeah, well, so first, I love this watch. This is from our dear friend, Eric. Eric treats us too well. He's always blessing us with watches. And I really enjoy having the purple dog because I have the same exact watch because it always reminds me of that Biggie Smalls lyrics. Yeah. T-bone steak, cheese, eggs, and Welch's grape.
Yes.
And I can't get away from it. I always think of that lyric when I wear that watch. So
yes.
It brings a smile to my face.
Yes.
I'll go next. I am also wearing a Rowan Blazers stamped timepiece. I'm wearing the Black Bay 58 with the Rowan Blazers stamp. This also was a gift from Eric Wind. He just laces us. I don't know what it is. I think from the first time we met, we hit it off with him. We have an amazing time when we're with him. I put him on my Mount Rushmore of guests because I don't think I laugh with anybody more than when I'm with Eric and Charlie.
Very true.
We always have an amazing time. They're great guys. I spoke to Charlie today, as a matter of fact. But the inspiration behind me wearing this today was honestly the t-shirt. Shout out to my friends over at Tomahawk in Montreal.
Yes.
The hospitality group who treated us very well on a recent trip we took out there for a project that I hope you all get to see very soon. And so I just wanted to match up the two. It just felt right. So, that kind of hot flamingo pink color on the black dial, kind of the same with the t-shirt. I was like, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are wearing some special pieces. You guys are wearing pieces that you've made.
Yeah.
So break this down to us. What do you guys got on the wrist?
I'm wearing the Alabaster Industries silver vault with the silver bracelet. I mean, solid sterling silver case, solid sterling silver bracelet, case back sterling silver, case back screws sterling silver, movement holder sterling silver, dial, all sterling silver. So this is ours, Solita movement.
And you mentioned the dial too. The dial is also the
dial
hands
as well.
The whole thing. Wow.
Yeah. Not the hands, but everything else. Yeah. But one of our pieces and something I feel like one of the most excited we've ever been about a piece, just in terms of it being the culmination of so much design work over the years.
I guess the hands would be too heavy if they were sterling silver. Gotcha.
Yeah. And this is the Alabaster Industries thistle with the leather band. This is interesting. This one is one of the many prototypes we made throughout the production process. I think anybody making watches knows, like, there are so many steps, so many additions and versions before there's something that, we feel close to ready to release. So this was a prototyped one. So it's not the final leather band, but
it looks good though. I like it on the strap.
Yeah, it's. Leather strap. I always say band, but it's like it's something that I just like wearing. I think it's one of the first watches that we've made. Like, our stuff is like, they're like statement pieces in a lot of ways, and it's so much smaller. It's something that's like a lot easier to wear just day to day. And, but it still says something. Yeah. 28 millimeters. It's smaller than ever before. So, being able to kind of easily wear our product out every day, it's been amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. You were going to say something?
I was going to say, I like that you use the same kind of design with the keeper. That's like a little Easter egg.
Details.
Yeah. It's sort of like a nod to our childhood in Colorado, sort of a Western belt, like Lucchese almost thing. Even the two keepers, just like
is it Lucchese or Lucchese?
I don't know. Honestly, yeah. Sign off in the comments.
Yeah. Yes. They'll let us know.
That Easter egg for me definitely speaks to just like you guys as a whole, right? Like just how you approach fashion, watches, jewelry, the whole nine. And when we met in Geneva, not to kind of like jump the gun, Perri had like already knew, like he's seen the product, but then he gets to meet the faces behind it. And Perri was hyped when he seen you guys. He was like, yo, we gotta link up. Like it was great because to see Perri excited to meet some folks, especially with, Watches and Wonders full of star-studded folks. Like, for him to be like, we gotta connect. I was like, this is.
That means so much to us. Yeah, we were so excited to.
And of course it was at the Heist Out event. Like those guys have been incredible to us. I love what they do, and like we showed up there not knowing who we were going to meet, and of course we met. People I think we'll end up having friendships with for years. So
those are great guys, and it was only natural that we would meet you guys there. They're the cool guys in Geneva. Yeah, in many respects, I consider them our counterparts across the Atlantic. Because they are counter to, I think, what most people think about when they think about the watch industry or the watch community. And that's why I was so excited when I met you guys and I saw the product and I was like, okay, these guys kind of match the product, right? Because I was like, this is sort of the future of what this industry looks like to me. And it gets me really excited.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw their magazine, it was the first time I'd really seen watch. I like, there's things every once in a while, but watch imagery, watch content where I was like, this is like speaking to me.
It's cool. It resonates. It's super vibey, and
it's contemporary too.
Super.
Yeah.
And I loved when I first saw the product. It was one of those things where I remember it came across my feed in Instagram, and I was like, "This is interesting." And when I see things I like, I try to think about how it makes me feel. And if it's really good, it's hard to articulate the feeling. All I know is that it makes me feel good. Yeah. I'm not sure what I like about it. And then I sit with it. And when I sat with what you guys did, it reminded me of, I don't know if you're familiar with the artist H.R. Geiger.
Yes.
Okay.
Very familiar. Big fans.
Crazy
I
pull for you.
I thought so.
Swiss legend.
Swiss
Yeah,
legend.
he is. And so it reminded me a little bit of his work. I could see some influences in how you guys play with shape, right? It's almost like they look carved.
Yeah.
They look like they're like you're carving shapes out of like maybe a block of silver.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not necessarily about sculpting something in a traditional sense. It feels more like an impression.
Oh yeah.
Which really resonates with me. And that's what I was like, man, this stuff is really cool. And I was like, now we got to have these guys in the show because I want to understand like how two brothers from Colorado kind of arrive here. Like it's already crazy to say like we're going to start a watch brand. Like me personally, I would never do it.
Yeah.
I think
it's kind of a bad idea.
He always says it's a bad idea.
If anyone out there is thinking about starting a watch company, do not do it.
Cannot recommend.
It's terrible. But the thing is, if it works,
Yes.
it's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is working for you guys.
Yeah.
Right? It's working very well. So I think initially, obviously we've established that you guys are from Colorado. You now live in LA. I kind of want to know a little bit about your background in terms of design and what influences sort of your style and approach that also allows you guys to work so well together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the starting point for me is my background in fashion and accessories design, and like that was my jumping off point, was starting at working at LV in Paris under Kim Jones. And that was kind of the first time, like, in college, you get to work on all your own stuff. And then when you go out into the world, you start working on someone else's big project. And it's a very different thing to work on someone else's brand versus your own personal sort of thing. And being there, I think this is a common thing and it makes perfect sense for brands. But when you work at big brands, you bring them your best stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You say, they hire me to be elite.
Yeah.
So you bring them your best stuff. And an experience both of us had, Robin, in the film industry, is you'd bring your best stuff and they'd say, could you make it worse? could you make it less cool?
Yeah.
Wow. And that is not an indictment of them. That's just when your customer base is, so broad, so wide.
I understand.
Yeah.
You need to make it appeal to a broad range of people.
You have to almost dumb it down.
It's an art. It's an art. Making something that works for these people is an art. That's not really where our elite skill set lies. Where our elite skill, like what we're really good at is not making something that many people like. We're really good at making something a few people love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're good at. You know what I mean? And so after working there, and like met incredible designers there, like saw what it takes, you know what I mean, to work at that level.
So the education that you got was incredibly valuable.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like you were in a space where you felt like what your voice was.
Exactly.
And LV allowed you to kind of like build the skill set in terms of how to figure out how to execute that.
100%. And everything, I mean, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but everything you do teaches you about something that you want, sometimes by showing you something you don't want.
Sure. Tell me about it.
And, this whole time, obviously, we're brothers, but we're also, Robin's my best friend in the world. And we're speaking all the time, and he's having the same experience in film, which is, being a graphic designer and art director.
Yeah. So I started working in film when I was like 18, or I had like just turned 19, but I was a kid. And like, I remember arriving in film and I was so nervous to do anything. I was kind of working in the art direction side of film. And I had the same experience Jack did. We talked about it a lot, where it was like, you put out a lot of ideas. You're there to have ideas. And you get a ton of experience, but the stuff you really want to happen is like never the thing that would happen. And we'd constantly be on the phone when he was either in Paris or in New York, just being like frustrated. Why can't we just do something that's like that?
Where do we put these really good
us?
ideas?
Yeah, exactly.
They keep getting like torn off the damn,
And ostensibly, like, we're being hired because we know how to speak to people our age, people who like the kind of stuff we like. And then we're being told by people who hired us to do that like it's the wrong thing. So I think out of frustration, and then, out of the like the brand was also born at the beginning of COVID because kind of all the work.
It all goes back to COVID.
It all goes back
Honestly.
to COVID. Yeah. All the work dried up, and we are like, neither of us can sit still. So we were like, if we had been like workshopping, and Jack should give the background of like the brand coming together, but we decided, we're like, okay, we're just gonna design for ourselves, do what we want, and treat it like 9 to 5.
All right, you guys, let's talk about something every watch collector can relate to. When you're on the hunt for the piece, you slid into DMs, combed through the forums, maybe even hit up a friend of a friend, and still nothing.
And that's where Bezel comes in. It's not just another marketplace. It's where tech meets tradition. Whether you're after a Rolex sub or independent grail, Bezel has tens of thousands of authenticated listings waiting for you. And if the watch isn't listed yet, no worries. Just add the model to your wish list and Bezel hits you with real-time notifications the moment something drops.
And for those of you who don't have time to obsess over listings 24/7, Bezel's got a concierge team that can source the watch for you. They basically take all the stress out of the process so you can just enjoy the watch on your wrist.
Plus, for sellers, guarantee sales in just a few days. Thanks to the auction feature, it's a win-win, whether you're buying or selling.
So if you're ready to make your next move in this watch game, hit up Bezel, and trust me, you'll wish you'd done it sooner.
Yeah. And watches, like, I mean, it's funny to say this now. They were more a vessel than anything. I think the thing that drew us to watches the most, which I think they're some of the most symbolic objects in the world. You know, like most watches to people are symbols of moments of success, family members, periods of their life, you know, all these things. And like, it was something I was aware of, and I'd gotten an introduction from my, you know, co-designer Peter Mueller at LV. And, you know, it was interesting, but the world seemed closed, but it was also so packed and loaded with meaning.
Yeah.
And so like in the fashion industry, I think one of the hard things to do is to cultivate meaning. And in the watch industry, it was so obvious that there was like meaning was just abundant. People were, you know, not consuming, but people were using watches as to trade in moments. And so we were like, oh, this is brilliant. Like, this is the way that we should interact with people and bring a product to the world that feels meaningful.
Yeah.
So you guys obviously have the luxury to have each other, right?
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to bounce ideas, hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
But obviously it's got to start somewhere. So I have a 2-part question. First off, where did this mindset come to kind of look at design or even consumerism in this angle? And then secondly, you know, who between the two of you guys made this crazy idea to start the brand?
I mean, it really, I think that like in terms of the background, first we got to give Jack credit for Jack really started he was like,
Yeah, I was
he was breaking apart watches, and he's like,
I was like, could we
gotta
make the
figure out how
watch
to make
world
these
so angry?
And
I want to wake up and really ruin someone's day.
Yes, yeah. I want to see what it's like to get angry comments.
But mostly, you know, I was like, I think we could, you know, us combined, we could make an amazing product.
Yeah.
I really pushed hard on that.
And then I think like in terms of the background, in terms of design, it's really interesting to try to like locate where that started. Like we grew up in a kind of constant dialogue between one another on art and design. You know, we spent a lot of time in museums and stuff, like I just like going and visiting when we could. And like, I think that Jack introduced me, I'm the younger brother. Jack introduced me to so much, but like fashion and stuff like that. So at first it was kind of like, okay, I'm learning from Jack, like what's cool, what isn't. But then it became a discussion. And I think the thing that was lucky for us is that from the get-go, like we were totally fine being fans of things that weren't super vetted or super verified, that, you know, were like, they might not be the coolest thing that's happening, but like it resonates with us for whatever reason. And I think that because of that, like in terms of our design discourse and the dialogue that we were having, when it came to watches, we were looking at it as like, how can we, do something, even if it's not traditional to the space, even if it's not going to immediately be recognized by the space, we don't see something that really works for us. And like, how can we go about making something that works for us? So then the experimentation phase started, and Jack can
and we really just like basically brute forced it. Like we started taking apart things, putting them back together, and then we started buying pieces off the shelf and manufacturing our own. And for the most part of our history, we were manufacturing a ton of components in our own workshop. And, like we never manufacture movements. Thank God. Someday it would be amazing, what I mean? But they're experts for a reason. But like, it was just one of those things of, if you improve it a little bit every single time, and you end up with something that you're proud of. And I feel like we finally turned over a leaf where like every bit of it is something, for us, I think we can see those countless hours we spent in our old warehouse studio with no windows, just figuring out how to get perfect finishing on different pieces. It's been really a sweat equity exercise.
For sure. The name Alabaster Industries.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind that? What does it mean?
Okay. I have a theory.
I have a theory.
This is my theory of brand names.
Okay.
All good brand names are band names.
Band names.
Yeah. If it's a good brand name, you have to be able to imagine it as the name of a band.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what's crazy? We were talking to a friend of ours who he's a brilliant designer, but he does like web and graphic design, and he lives in upstate, and he's got a neighbor who's a professional namer. This guy he's a consultant. He gets paid like big bucks by big brands just to name products and stuff like that. So, but I wonder if he'd float that theory as well. Yeah.
But that's my theory about names. All good brand names are band names. And Alabaster Industries, Alabaster was just a word I had floating around in these sketchbooks. I've kept a sketchbook every day of my life since I was about 14. I have like 2 big black tubs of them in my garage at home, just of books that I filled with sketches. And to me, it feels Western. You know what I mean? Our dad was a ranch hand growing up. Like that's something we experienced a lot. And it's also very ancient. It's a stone. It's a mineral. And those words together just felt evocative. Like you said, it gave you a feeling. Ultimately, when we bring product to market, it has to pass does it feel like alabaster?
It does. And I think even aesthetically, like looking at the pieces, again, they feel like sculptures.
Yeah.
Right. And so I get the idea of like carving, right? And that resonates with alabaster for me. And then industries, I think design, I think industrial design, which is what you guys are doing. I think the other interesting thing for me that you said that I loved, you said this was a vehicle, right? And the reason why I love that, I think too many people in the watch world have put too much emphasis on in-house movements, what the watchmaker is doing inside of the watch. Admittedly, I nerd out about those things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that. However, I think that enthusiasts and collectors have also forgotten that what you're doing is actually very traditional in a sense, probably more traditional, right? Because when you think about even like the big brands, they were driven by design. And then they went and see who can we work with to put a movement in to get this thing to work. When AP is talking about making the thinnest perpetual movement in the 80s, they went to JLC and whoever else and said, like, what can we put in this thing to make this thing work? And so you're focusing on beauty and experience first, right? And that's really where the magic happens. And I think, in my opinion, that is part of the future of the growth of the watch industry. I love the fact that there are these like sort of like fashion sensibilities as it pertains to the product. I mean, even going back to the band on your watch, your strap.
Yeah.
That you are making accessories for the watch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like just even that thought process.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It gives new life to the product. It creates a whole nother conversation, right? What you're doing with the bracelet is already amazing.
Yeah.
But from an experiential perspective, to remove that but still deliver that experience is incredibly thoughtful.
Yeah. And
I mean, we so appreciate that because ultimately, like being outsiders from watches, we start making watches. And basically, before we know anything, people know us for making watches. It's terrifying to sort of learn on the public stage. But the thing about being, we're perpetual students of this and like we're open to it and we are outsiders. And that's our best advantage, to be honest, to watches is like we're able to look at things from our perspective and like, oh my God, like the way I appreciate JLC, for example, now more than when I first started is unbelievable.
Because think about it, right? The freedom that a movement manufacturer can give to an artist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? When you understand what's at your disposal, in order to make this thing work, it opens up the conversation for you. There's so many more ideas that flood in. It's like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this.
Yeah.
You see the limitless potential.
And I think Phil from Toledano and
Yeah,
Chan?
yes,
He said in that interview.
The geezer.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. I think what they do is so brilliant. Like I think what they do is awesome. And he's had this great quote in an interview. He said, "There's a lot of watches out there that can tell you the time on Mars, and they don't look that great on your wrist." And I was just like, and no disrespect. I love part of what makes it all beautiful is that people can like
Their
and make
thing.
different things.
Yeah.
And I love to evoke this feeling through the sculpture, the shape, the finishing. And like, ultimately what we know is jewelry technique. If you go open up really old Cartiers, old Piagets, that's jewelry technique.
Yeah.
You know? And so like, that's something that matters to us. Jewelry technique and the approach to it, like, is what we're really in love with. That's how we love to approach this design.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, let's talk about something every watch collector can relate to. When you're on the hunt for the piece, you slid into DMs, combed through the forums, maybe even hit up a friend of a friend, and still nothing.
And that's where Bezel comes in. It's not just another marketplace. It's where tech meets tradition. Whether you're after a Rolex sub or independent grail, Bezel has tens of thousands of authenticated listings waiting for you. And if the watch isn't listed yet, no worries. Just add the model to your wish list and Bezel hits you with real-time notifications the moment something drops.
And for those of you who don't have time to obsess over listings 24/7, Bezel's got a concierge team that can source the watch for you. They basically take all the stress out of the process so you can just enjoy the watch on your wrist.
Plus for sellers, guarantee sales in just a few days. Thanks to the auction feature, it's a win-win, whether you're buying or selling.
So if you're ready to make your next move in this watch game, hit up Bezel, and trust me, you'll wish you'd done it sooner.
I want to tap into the inception of the brand because it is fairly young.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of like hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
What was that breakout moment for you guys? Because I think to Perry's point, we did see your products surface the internet very quickly, and then it spread like wildfire. And then you also were finding like products as well, which I think also raised the stock for you guys. So do you know what exact moment it was where it just hit and you was like, this is it?
I mean, there wasn't one watershed moment, but there were a couple sort of that added to each other, So like at the very beginning, like we weren't even selling anything. We were giving them to friends and family. People were posting photos, and our friend Wade posted a photo of this watch I gave him. He is like one of the best dressed guys on earth. So naturally, a lot of like super stylish people follow him. And all of a sudden it was on, Hidden Story, and it was all these places. And
Call that the Labubu effect.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't even have a business page at this point. Like, I'm like, gotta like turn my personal one on private, and because people are DMing us. But really, I would say what happened is when Dover Street reached out and we sort of started with Dover Street in 2020. Like that was kind of the moment where people are like, oh, this is serious. Like people are paying attention. And that was a huge blessing and a wonderful opportunity for us.
And I think initially, like you guys, I mean, it was like hard to keep stock. Like it was moving so fast.
Yeah. I mean, and we were selling so few, like, we were selling 30 pieces at a time and they were gone in minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of pieces we have here.
Yeah.
Because I do have some more questions.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 watches here. These are 2 of your latest models. The one I'm holding, what is this called?
That's the Silver Vault.
The Silver Vault.
Yeah, that watch, I'm so proud of it because it's, I think the thing is like our signature is design. That's our strong point. That's what we bring to the table. And the natural progression of design is to do it with as few brushstrokes as possible.
Sure.
And so this was taking sort of all of that iterative design of blending the organic with the intimidating and bringing like, different kinds of finishing into it and then stripping it back to its most basic elements. And so that's something where we wanted to reimagine the links, reimagine the way the bracelet integrated, as well as like give the finishing sort of the most clean platform to shine, because we feel like that's one thing that silver can offer is just incredible finish.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so where are you guys producing this?
So the movement is Swiss.
Okay.
And then the actual like case and bracelet is produced at this incredible factory in Shenzhen.
Okay.
Run by 2 longtime Cartier veterans who went and created their own thing. And they're amazing. I mean, like we produced a lot of watches ourselves, invested a lot into equipment, and we met these guys. And
I mean, this thing is cool as hell. I mean, even looking at like the frosted effect on like just the outside links on the bracelet is super sick. I mean, you got the frostedness, you got almost like a high polish finishing too. And so there's the play with the light is so interesting because it shines and it sparkles.
That's such it's interesting that you say that just in terms of making sculptural watches. One of the hardest things when you're working in silver, but really any material that you're going high polish with, is if it's sculptural and it's high polish,
it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare because exactly. It's a nightmare in every way, but also just in terms of like seeing what's happening on the watch, it becomes like noisy. Like you literally cannot tell what's going on unless you have like great lighting or what's happening. So that, I think we early on realized that we're going to have to really expand our knowledge of finishing in order to be able to use different material finishes that are transitioning over like a continuous piece of silver to make something that's recognizable. And I think that's how, like with the vault, for instance, you can get kind of a graphic effect looking at something that's very sculptural as well, where there's these high contrast moments on a single piece of silver.
The other thing, just for reference, like a big inspiration for this piece and all of our work, is the idea that something can be beautiful without being friendly.
Yeah.
Without being friendly.
Without being friendly.
Elaborate on that.
Just in that, like, I think we're sort of taking the stance. There's a lot of stuff, products, ideas, pieces of art out there that try to make everyone feel comfortable and happy.
Gotcha.
And what we're saying is like, being sort of unapologetically yourself, taking a stand, saying something is not necessarily a comfortable position, but it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So we're saying something can be intimidating and be, what's a good word for it? Like,
it's like
frictious.
Adversarial.
Adversarial. And be beautiful.
Well, like polarizing.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like it's like, and that's what when I first was talking about, like, when I first saw the watch on Instagram, it was one of those things where it was like, I saw it and everything kind of paused.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I feel about this?
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite articulate it having just seen it, because I think, let me not say for most people, for myself, I immediately start thinking of references.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for a reference point for it. Because that'll kind of inform me how I feel about something.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't immediately. H.R. Geiger sort of came later
Yeah.
when I started scrolling through the page. And I was like, okay, there's something else going on here. And, but no, I love the way that you described that. And, you know, I understand what you mean, because, and people, you know, might get upset with me for saying this. I'm by no means comparing the two, but there is something in the spirit of what you guys have built here, and the spirit of what Gerald Genta did with the Royal Oak.
Yes.
Right? Because that was a really, that moment kind of shook up the watch world. Mm-hmm. Not only the idea that a steel watch could be luxury, but look at the design.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that is so incredibly masculine in concept, but when you hold one in person, it has all these feminine-like qualities in how it plays with light and the finishing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's this like force that lives there, but there's also a refinement and a sophistication. And you guys have really captured that with this. I have another question, just out of curiosity. The logo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a fly?
It's a hawk and a dove.
It's a hawk and a dove.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a hawk and a dove. The classic metaphor of the peaceful
I was hoping
and the
you would say
aggressive.
fly.
Oh, yeah. It's flies.
Or the fly
It's definitely fly.
The watch industry.
That's I see what you did there. That's funny.
This is hot. So, you know, what comes to mind for me, and, you know, we have been talking, I think we've been talking for about a week, Jack, just to make this happen. You know, we always, you know, I always like to let our listeners and viewers know how hard we work. Like, you know, we're on the plane, we're like in different time zones. We're like,
He likes to flex.
we're like all over the place, and like, you know, we're like, you know, endless hours of like making this happen. But we put it together, and when we were speaking, I could only think of the film The House of Gucci. Mm-hmm. I can only think of you guys in that realm. And the reason being is because you can see like the inception of like what's to come, just in terms of like, this product is not for now. This is for something in the distant future. And there's very few brands that can tap into that emotion, to what Perry's referring to. And another part, and why I asked what was that breakout moment, because I also found a lot of like knockoff products, or even you take, you know, one of the more prolific brands to deal with silver, right? Chrome, for example, like Chrome Hearts. I seen Chrome starting to do things that kind of was very similar to your vein as well. And it's like, you know, this here is going to last forever. It's going to be here long.
I'm almost glad that I really have no reference points with Chrome Hearts. Chrome Hearts was just introduced to me like this year.
Really? I mean,
I've never paid attention to it.
Yeah.
$13,000 for jeans is ridiculous.
Far be it from us personally to criticize Chrome Hearts, because I think we really look up to them as like our AP. You know what I mean? Like, they paved the way
from a design perspective.
Perspective.
Because they've been around for a long time.
They've been around for a long
but
time.
now they're like,
and the reason they're exploding is because they never switched up.
Yeah.
They never switched up, even when
they've been doing this. It's been consistent. Yeah.
Hyper consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, being able to sustain a practice for that long, like, it's hard. And I think that's one of the things we talk about a lot of the time, where it's like we want our customers to like grow with us and grow with the brand. Like in terms of how much change we've gone through in the past 5 years, like, yeah, obviously we want to continue that into the future and like consistently be able to wow people with new design and a new experience. But like maintaining that and maintaining the identity over a long period of time is like I really give it to brands that were able to do that, because that is a tough
That's the
thing to
toughest
do.
thing. Yeah. Like how do you the brand it's almost like a living being.
Yes.
How do you allow it to evolve?
Right.
How do you evolve the visual language, but also keep it familiar?
Yeah, that's why I think the term design DNA, which is like pretty ubiquitous term, is actually fantastic, because it's like, how do you retain the DNA of the brand but have it significantly change, and also like have people that have seen, the very first watches we had done, like see new stuff that's very different, much finer, a completely different production process, and feel like it's still for them in the same way. And I think that that's been a big conversation we're always having, where like we want to push the design, but we also want to make sure that we're maintaining the DNA as hard as we can, because that's the one thing that like you have to protect.
Yeah. So what the design process?
Yeah.
Walk me through it. This is incredibly intricate. You're dealing with silver. It's not an easy material to work with, especially with what you guys are doing. How many units are you producing? You said, I think it was 25?
25 of each of these.
And what is the turnaround time on something like that from designing, submitting the design, getting the, what's the process like?
We started these 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, God, so you're looking at 2 years.
That's not ideal.
Yeah, but that was also a big transition in our the way that we made.
That's
stuff.
pretty that's actually in terms of watchmaking.
Yeah,
that's pretty fast.
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah,
that is true. And I think the thing is when you're tiny like us, you have to find out what your advantages are, and our advantages are. Our design department is right here. You know what I mean? And things can happen quickly because we can have those conversations with it.
Do you find that, I'm curious how many times you've ran into ideating something, designing it, and then being told I don't know if we can actually make this.
Yes.
If it happens every single product.
Okay.
Yes. Every single time. Yeah. There's not a single thing we've ever made where that hasn't happened.
Wow. You want to know the worst thing though?
Yes.
I feel like it's actually not being told no, because that does happen every time we bang our head against it. But is when we design something, we go through the whole process and we get, some first prototypes, and we're like, there's so much good intention here and so much work, and we're never going to put it out. We got to kill this.
Because that's the thing, is that also ultimately it has to serve. I think we have a very sort of serious bar of if it could be made by anybody but us two, we can't put it out.
I love
it
that.
Can't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It has to be us, to the max.
Which is hard. I mean, just being such a tiny brand, you put so much into any product being developed that to have to step away from it is it's
can be heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the way our process works is we both are always bringing things to each other. If we didn't have a brand together, it would be the same thing. Have you seen this? We have a shared YouTube playlist where we put things, cool. You know what I mean?
It's just weirdo shit.
Yeah. It's weird. And we also are constantly talking about what it comes from a place of intuition always. What excites you, what makes you feel interested. And for a long time, some of the most interesting things to us are fungus, degrading concrete, the way metal reacts to corrosive materials, phenomenon. You know what I mean? I would say that our design language is heavily inspired by phenomenons. And so we'll talk through these things, and then both of us draw a lot. The classic Charles Eames quote of draw 100 things, throw all those away, and then you actually started your sketching process.
I love that you talked about phenomenon, because it brings me back to a point that Rashawn made when he was talking about sort of seeing the future. And I keep going back to H.R. Geiger, because I feel like for me, at least, it's a really great reference point for what you guys are doing in the sense of here's something that does feel futuristic, but there's something about it that's also kind of organic.
Yeah.
And I don't mean organic in the way of like authentic
Mhm.
or like springing from, but organic in like life.
Nature. Well, that's-
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing for us is designing with our reference being from beyond the world of watches, and like the world of watches is wonderful, and we have like so much to learn from it. But when we take design inspiration, we want to go beyond it, and I think that's even true in spaces like fashion and stuff that like sometimes there's too much reference for a space itself.
Yeah.
And you need to go like into the world and just say like what in nature. But then also like there's a lot of reference we send to each other that's like it'll be like, you know, cathedral like corners, stoneworking, stuff like that, where, and the way that it's breaking down, the way that it's getting covered in dirt and moss, where it's like these are textural references that are pretty vague in terms of being able to pull design from, but get you something that does feel new and feels different.
Like one of my favorite painters, Gerhard Richter, has, very famous for doing these big sort of like scraping gestures, right?
Yeah.
And, his quote is not accidental, but not completely purposeful. You know what I mean? Like there are things that happen in the design process and literally between the space of your brain and your hand when you're drawing that you don't know exactly why or how, but they just happen.
And I think that's a great thing about Geiger's work too, where sometimes you look at it and you're like, I don't know if a person could have designed this, or if this would have just evolved from the monk, like it is, it's emergent. Yeah.
So we got another piece here. Mm-hmm. And this is, I love the name of this actually.
The thistle.
The silver thistle.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about, I mean, obviously, like just looking at this, like this thing is a beast. Like I feel bad for the guy that had to polish all this.
Yeah.
But are you guys considering working with any other metals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we have a natural attraction to silver. We're from the Southwestern United States. Like that's something like the jewelry tradition of silver in that part of the world is amazing. And, it's something we love. We also like deeply want to expand our repertoire into gold and expanding into lapidary as well. I mean, I think that we feel that the history of jewelry technique has so much to offer, and it's something that, we're just excited to keep growing. That one, I think specifically with the thistle is one thing where, like in poison dart, like a defense mechanism of these plants and animals is to be intimidating looking.
Yeah.
So the people that, or the other animals that might want to eat them would be like, I better not. Like, I better just leave that one alone. And I think that kind of perfectly describes our approach to many of these watches of people, you're on the subway and you see someone and be like, they're not the one.
And also like we like the idea of the object fighting back in a way. Like you don't just get to buy an object because it's nice. Like some of them look like you've got to kind of wrangle it. Like
when I look at this watch, to Perry's point, it does remind me of a living organism. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, this is for the New Yorkers listening or any kind of cultural relevance. There's a gentleman that lives, he's obviously homeless, but he lives on, I think, Elizabeth Street. Mm-hmm. And if you go up Elizabeth, you'll always see this guy. He looks very hard and intimidating, covered in tattoos, big silver rings across his fingers. But if you ever spoke to him, you would see how warm and welcoming and inviting this guy is. Yeah. And it could be Elizabeth Street. I believe it's Elizabeth Street. But when I looked at this watch, it made me think of like a hard metal guy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, yeah. We love that. I mean, it's like a lot of our friends and stuff are these people that are like, I don't know, they might look unapproachable. They might look, and then you meet them and they're like the sweetest,
They would do
most
anything
thoughtful.
for you.
They'll do
Yeah.
anything for you. And I
Yeah.
think like that's something we love in the world in general, is being able to like approach somebody and figure out who they really are. Like no matter what you're thinking.
Yeah, sometimes making something harder to digest makes it easier to know on a deeper level. I think is what
exactly.
Can I ask? I want to ask you. I think obviously you guys you had all of these ideas you were trying to flesh out, right? In terms of how you wanted to approach design, finding watches as a vehicle. I recognize that once you become successful at this, and you guys are successful at it, you sold watches, you're successful. Obviously, there are different levels of success.
Sure. Yeah.
But after you found success and you found an audience and you realize, okay, this is resonating with people.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, what are you now searching for in terms of expression?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is the Tom Sachs quote: "The reward for good work is more work."
More work.
And I think the thing is the feeling that we describe as Alabaster Industries feels like a universe. You know what I mean? Like we have ideas that go beyond watches, but also like there's a lot of places this could go. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of ideas for product, but also
So it doesn't have to just be watches.
Yeah. But I think watches are really important to us now. It's crazy, like to go from considering them a vehicle to thinking about a morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I think
That's a way of doing that.
yeah, like from where we started to where we are now, we've gained through the like ignorance of the beginning, we've gained so much respect for watches that like we see what we can do with watches as like there's so much more interesting technique that we can involve, especially from the jewelry space, involving techniques that we just never see in watchmaking. And whether
I think that's the coolest thing too, and that's kind of what I gather from you guys is, I mean, obviously you want to make these beautiful things, these beautiful objects, and people have different and varying opinions on beauty. But what I think what's coming through for me is that you guys really do enjoy the challenge.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so in discovering new techniques or even things that completely block you is where the inspiration comes from.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point. And you've really read deep into our souls, because I think, part of the thing that's perfect is that like, it's just hard. It's hard enough for it to be interesting every day.
The soul reader.
Yeah. I'm not good at other jobs. I think the reason we're entrepreneurs is that like our brains are just wired for this kind of torture. Like I'm not good at other stuff.
Yeah. And
That's a great point.
Yeah. And we also like come up with things that are very annoying to one another and to kind of like the skilled people that we work with, where we're sending each other reference that's like, oh, look how they polish look how they polish mirrors for telescopes. Like, it's a pretty incredible process. Is there a way that we can do that? And then one of us inevitably to the other person has to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Stop. Like, no, we have a product to make today.
That's hilarious.
But there's this idea that somewhere down the road, all those things that are like way out there are things that we can apply to the watches.
That's great, man. But there's something to be said about, the way I describe it, living in that tension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like the juice.
Yeah.
And like, I can tell from the looks on your face, like you really get it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's painful.
Yeah.
But it feels so good.
Yeah. It's fun. Like, I think at the end of the day, like sometimes when it can get hard, there can be a lot of pressure with running a small brand, but like we do have a lot of fun. We have a lot of like pride in our work, and we get a ton out of it.
I mean, the fact that people buy the stuff that we make
Isn't that the craziest
That's
thing?
crazy.
it's insane, and it's also like it's so meaningful. Like
It is.
Yeah.
you know, if you talk to anyone who's bought a watch from us, I'm the customer service department. You know what I mean? So they've all heard from me. Like I give out my phone number regularly, and sometimes that's a huge mistake. But usually I don't regret it. You know what I mean? But like it means the world to us. Like this was from nothing, and the fact that it resonates with someone, like we take it so seriously that someone's going to spend their hard-earned money on our products, like because it's a serious thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have to say, just in you guys speaking, especially as brothers, I definitely want to pay a tribute to this because I see your relationship very similar to how our relationship is with one another, just in terms of, because I'll text Perri and I'll tell him something and I'll be like, should I have said that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder what Perri would think.
I can't tell you
he's
how-
like,
yeah.
he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But the reason why I kind of bring that is because I think the powerful thing with WCP and Super Niche for what we're trying to do is tell, you know, compelling stories that resonate with not only us, but our viewers, because there's someone out there, like we were saying, you know, before we were rolling, is like, you can be one person's villain, but you can be another person's hero.
Yeah.
And you never know who you're inspiring.
Yeah.
And to put yourself out there publicly and share these stories and be vulnerable enough. I mean, thank you guys. Real talk.
That is real talk. And, you know, I think that you guys have an amazing product. I think you've built an incredible brand. I really enjoyed our conversation because you guys, my mind works in a very similar fashion that I think that you guys are looking at doing this, even though we do different things and our approach might even be a little bit different. But I think ultimately, to Rashawn's point, there is this space that we're striving to exist in and spend as much time there as possible.
Yeah.
And it's evident in the work that you've done, but also in the relationship that you have and how you work together. And I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
I'm very, very impressed. And I gotta figure out. I gotta buy a watch. So that's just what it is now.
Thank you so much.
Jack, Robin, I want to say thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
This has been an absolute pleasure.
Seriously.
I think by far my favorite conversation this month.
Yeah.
And you, so you guys are welcome back anytime. Continue to send us, you know, images of new product. I would love to see what you guys are working on behind the scenes, and I can't wait to have you guys come back to show us what's new and you know, you guys have some bigger pockets and some more money in the bank. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Heck yeah.
This has been another episode of Risk Check Podcast. You all know where to find us: riskcheckpod.com, superniche.com. Maybe one day with my friend here in
the metaverse.
And we'll see you next week. Deuces.
Peace.